Vanakkam. Welcome back to our course on SAP Materials Management. In this session, we will be introducing MRP views. So these are very important views with respect to planning, procurement, sales, manufacturing, everything. So we'll discuss some key elements in these views. From next session onwards, we'll go into details of individual fields of every view. So before going to the session, let us see the answers for the previous session. What is the order unit in purchasing view? So this is the purchasing unit of measurement, which is different from the basic unit of measurement. For example, when you are buying some materials in rolls, but they are used in meters, then we may use this alternate unit of measurement, which is the purchase unit of measurement. What is the use of plant-specific metal status? Plant-specific metal status is used to update the status of the metal of the specific plant. It is applicable only to that plant. Hope you remember the status, which is the cross-plant status maintained in the basic view. If you update the basic view, that a cross-plant status, that is applicable to all the plants. For example, there is a material which is used in one country, but it is banned in another country. Then using this plant-dependent metal status, we can control the usage of this metal in the particular specific plant. What are the features available in purchase value key? In purchase value key, we can maintain reminders in days, over delivery tolerance, under delivery tolerance, minimum delivery quantity, and other parameters. How automatic purchase order that facilitator is used? When you are converting purchase request to purchase orders, to facilitate automatic conversion as a bulk, to save a lot of time for the buyers, this tick mark will be useful. This is one of the preconditions to use that function ME59N. So GR processing time, is it defined in working days or calendar days? GR processing time is defined in working days. So we need to understand what is the difference between working days and calendar days. So working days are not taking into account the holidays which are defined in the factory calendar. For example, there are 7 days in a week. So all the 7 days will be considered for calendar days. If Sunday is defined as holiday, then only 6 days will be considered for working days. So for a material, if a GR processing time is defined as 3 days, if it is expected to reach on Monday, and then it should be available into the plant on Thursday itself, so that Friday, Saturday, and Monday, the 3 days will be taken if you are taking working days. So this understanding has to be very clear to analyze if there is any discrepancies in the date calculations or planning those concepts. What is the impact of the post-to-inspection stock? Post-inspection stock will trigger the metal to be posted into the inspection stock when we receive the material. So after clearing the metal, it will be going to the unrestricted stock, either through inspection plan, inspection clearance, that is the usage decision, or manually moving using the movement types. Those things we'll discuss later. Can we give unlimited tolerance for the material receipts? Yes, it is possible to give, but it is not recommended in general, because we need to do some defense. Then only we can control the purchasing quantities, and also we can have some control over the suppliers. After discussing various parameters in basic views and purchasing view, we are going to discuss the basic concepts of MRP views. So MRP has 4 views, MRP1, 2, 3, 4. These are all plant dependent, that is organization dependent. These are plant dependent. So what are the parameters we defined in these MRP views are plant dependent parameters. In this session, we will discuss an overview of these 4 views and some specific fields. What are the specific functions? Those things we'll discuss. Individual field definitions we'll discuss from next session onwards. Here we'll discuss the concepts. So there are 4 MRP views in Metal Master. These are specific to plant. MRP1 is related to planning parameters, which the planning parameters are defined in MRP1 view. MRP2 view is to define the integration between procurement and manufacturing, procurement, external purchase and manufacturing with the planning. This is the integration of procurement and manufacturing and planning. The details are maintained in MRP2 view. MRP3 view is to maintain the planning strategy, that is operating model, make to stock, make to order, assemble to order, to maintain availability check, replenishment lead time, configuration details, those kind of details. MRP4 is used to maintain manufacturing related details like BOM explosion, discontinuation status, repetitive manufacturing, component scrap, those kind of details are maintained in MRP4. So please remember the MRP views is in general with this logic. It will be easy for you to remember these things. And many interviews when you go and attend, whether you are a MM consultant or a MM user or MM consultant, PP user or PP consultant, this is one of the very familiar questions which have to be very clear, because this is very fundamental thing, not only for interview purpose. Even to use SAP Metal Master, this is one of the important function. In each view, there are some critical fields. Those things you should remember, and also you should know the function of each field very clearly. For example, MRP1, the planning parameters like MRP group, MRP type, reorder point, MRP controller, lot sizing procedure, MRP area details are maintained. In MRP2, the planning procurement integration parameters like procurement type, special procurement type, backflush, default store location, lead time, that is a procurement lead time, plan delivery lead time, in-house production time, GR processing time, those kind of things, and the safety stock. MRP3, we have the sales and operations related things like a planning strategy, how the plan has to consume, consumption details, availability check, replenishment lead time, those things are maintained. MRP4 having the manufacturing details like how the BOM has to export, what are the production version indicator, component scrap definition, part discontinuation details, which is a replacement component, and the repetitive manufacturing concepts. So we will start our discussion with the MRP type, which is a very, very important starting point for MRP discussions. MRP type. So metal requirement planning, the MRP type, there are two things. One is that the material requirement planning, which is calculating as such how much we need, and also there is a consumption based planning. So here when you take MRP means it is a complete BOM explosion, right? So the complete BOM up to end of the material, it will be exporting the BOM, calculate the requirements considering various inputs. So here the inputs like whatever given on the right side, you can refer the gross requirement planning, net requirement planning, and then how much is the requirement we need, the calculation, then how the lot size has to be determined, what is the stock leveling, mean balance in the stock, all these things will happen. Master scheduling means, for example, if you want to run the MRP only for some finished products or key materials or high level sub assemblies, those things only run separately, then master scheduling can be used. Because in some organizations, this variability of finished goods orders, because we will receive orders every day at any time, right? So MRP has to keep running for those items, maybe once, 2 times a day also may be required. But there are some components or raw materials which will be running, requirement can be calculated once in a week like that. That can be having a regular MRP, which is a complete, the BOM explosion it can follow. So MRP itself having two things. One is that regular MRP, another is the master scheduling. Regular MRP can run with a less frequency. The master scheduling can run with a high frequency. So like this, the different types of MRP and also procedures, and we discussed the procedure just now. Then we have consumption based planning, where we have reorder planning, and then we have the time phase planning, and then forecast based planning. So from based on these things, forecast procedures will be obtained. And here we have different models like constant model, trend model, seasonal model, and the seasonal trend model. These are the different ways that how to calculate the forecast. So these things we will discuss later in the forecasting session. Okay. Right. Now that determining procedure, the MRP types. So when a system works out MRP proposal as per the quantity calculated with the period without considering any probability or randomness, there is no probability, there is no randomness. It will calculate exactly like what is inventory, what is the open orders, what is the requirement, all these things will calculate. It will arrive at what is the metal need. For example, MRP type PD always create exact quantity proposal to meet the material demand at a time when it is needed. So which material is required, how much quantity is needed, when it is required. All these things will be arrived based on this MRP type PD. And also we have MRP types P1, P2, P3 also. They are the things which are also having the firm type MRP types that we will see. These are used for components and procurement materials, the PD, P1, P2, P3. Then we are having finished goods and first level subassembly items where MRP type M0, M1, M2, M3, these are all working like a master production scheduling. These are applicable to high level finished products and also the critical materials and also some key subassemblies. And then for the net requirement calculation, right, system will follow the formula like what is the available stock. Available stock is, it will take what is the planned stock, what is the open order quantity, like a receipt quantities, purchase order or from production order or from the firm proposals, minus safety stock. Here safety stock is considered as the demand. Then it will reduce the requirement quantities which are coming from the demand, which is PIR, planned independent requirement, and a customer requirement in the form of sale orders, material reservations, or forecast requirement for unplanned additional requirements. Those things will be calculated. And after this, if there is shortage, system will give a proposal. If there is no shortage, system will not give any proposal. This is how system will work for the MRP proposal. And there are different options to firm MRP proposals. So it means that the MRP proposal can keep on changing, right? If it is keep on changing means the planner who is working for the planning will go mad that morning is one proposal, afternoon is one proposal. If it is keep on changing, it is a problem. So there is an option to freeze the period also. That freezing can be done using the planning time funds. When I have the planning time funds fixed means we can fix, for example, 1 week as a planning time funds. Within that period, I don't want any change in the proposal what is given, or any change what is happening, it has to happen only after that week. Like that we can give them. For example, when you use MRP type PD and M0, M0 is representing the master scheduling, PD is a material requirement planning. There is no firming of procurement proposal within the planning time funds. So like this, there are different MRP types like P1, P2, P3, then M1, M2, M3. These are things. Please explore them. And also when we maintain these firm MRP types, we need to maintain planning time funds. That is very important. That is a mandatory. Okay. And the firming types are available for the regular MRP like MRP types PD, P0, P1, P2, P3, and also the master production scheduling types like M0, M1, M2, M3. These are not applicable for reorder planning types. Please take note of it. Reorder points, that firm type will not be there. We may use the fixed order time that we will discuss during the reorder point planning process. Right, then that consumption bill planning in MRP type, these procedures are called as like stochastic or having some degree of randomness. So here the future planning of the demand is correspondingly the supply availability of the materials also based on the past consumption patterns. So it will take the what is the past consumption, accordingly work out some reorder point. Either we can calculate it through the system or we can do it through manually also. So based on something there and or considering the future what is there. It is like a probability. If you take the regular, the deterministic MRP, there we know exactly what is the demand, what is the inventory, what is the balancing, what is the shortage, according to system give the proposal. But here we are assuming that the same consumption may happen or future there may be some consumption. Either we are assuming something, then we are calculating it. So there is a probability and randomness applied here. And also that we have to maintain the reorder level, which is the buffer level. It depends on the what is the replenishment lead time. If the replenishment lead time is more, buffer has to be more. And also what is the variability in the lead time. If the lead time what you are getting from the supplier is like if it is plus or minus 3 days or plus or minus 10 days, the variability is more. If the variability is more or less, then accordingly the stock what we keep as the buffer also will be high. And also variability in demand, variability in supply, all these things all will vary. So these things will go into detail when you are discussing about reorder, but these are the things which are affecting the reorder planning process. To understand how reorder point works, let us take the following illustration. See, here we are given some assumptions like lead time 2 weeks, reorder point 400 numbers, then safety stock 100 numbers, and average consumption 100 per week. Here the reorder point is calculated as that consumption per week 100 into 2 weeks lead time plus 100 safety stock, which is 300 numbers. So when the stock comes below 300 numbers, then system will propose what is that order quantity 400 numbers in week 3. In 2 weeks lead time, we will get 400 numbers into the stock. By the time stock would have reached 100, this 400 total stock increases to 500 numbers. The same thing happened in week 7 and week 12. What we can see here, it is reduced and then the stock is filled in week 9. Again stock reduced in week 12 and stock is filled in week 14. So there is a gap of 4 weeks for the first order and 5 weeks for the second order, which means the consumption is more, the ordering frequency will be more. When the consumption is less, ordering frequency will be less. Please note that in week 14, the stock came below safety stock. So that is why we need to consider some safety stock to have cushion of the fluctuation in the supply or demand. And what is the reorder point impact? Reorder point will be very high in the different scenarios. First, there is a degree of variation in the consumption or supply. So at that time, higher safety stock required, higher reorder point is required. And longer the replenishment lead time, then the reorder point will be more. This means when the longer lead time is there is a greater chance of unforeseen consumption. This increases variability and also the safety stock will increase. Higher the service level percentage also, it will increase the reorder point what is required. The service level is maintained in MRP2 view. And when the daily consumption quantity is increased, the reorder point will increase. At the same time, the forecast is obligatory and uses the total consumption. When the lot size is more, the setup cost will be distributed well and the cost per unit will come down. So manufacturing will try to have more lot size. And also the efficiency of production will increase due to the long run. Capacity utilization of machine will be better. So manufacturing team will need big lot sizes, right? Is it obvious, right? And procurement, similarly, right? When they place orders with higher lot sizes, like instead of placing numbers 100 as an order, if they place 1000, they can get a good discount, right? So the procurement cost per unit will come down. So they will get a good efficiency from the procurement point of view. So they need higher lot size. But at the same time, when you have the big lot size, what is happening? If you take a production for one item which is a big lot size, you are not able to change to other product. So your lead time will automatically increase, right? Please think this is something different what we are thinking, okay? So when the lot size is bigger, for example, instead of producing one product for 1 hour, if you are producing it for 10 hours, your lead time is 10 hours now, right? So you are not able to have some flexibility or changing. So the higher lot size increase the lead time of the material and also it increases the inventory, right? And the flexibility. So when you are having this much big lot size, instead of producing 10, 10, 10 per lot, if you produce 100 or 1000 per lot, then what is the raw material you use? It is already cut or machined or processed, and that is not available for some other product, right? So flexibility is lost. And also you're not able to change over to some other product if there is some urgent requirement. So flexibility is lost. So when you are having big lot size, flexibility is lost. When your lot size is bigger, lead time is lost. So from manufacturing and procurement point of view, higher lot size is better. At the same time, from lead time and flexibility point of view, and also to improve the customer service, quick service, and also to have better flexibility in the supply chain, having a lower lot size is always better. So this is again a trade-off between higher lot size and lower lot size. So in SAP, there are there are two kind of lot sizes that are there. One is the static lot size, other is the periodic lot size. So in static lot size, we have lot for lot, fixed lot size with splitting, replenishment to maximum stock level. And for periodic lot size, we have a daily lot size or weekly lot size or monthly lot size like that. And there are also other lot sizes called optimizing lot size. Optimizing lot size means they will consider what is the cost, what is the least cost, what is the dynamic lot size, like that it will take. And using optimizing lot size is little bit cost oriented other things. So now let us focus on the static lot size, periodic lot size. Even if you use these two lot sizes properly, that will be good enough for the organization. So we'll see with some example now how these proposals are split based on the lot size. Let us take a proposal which is having a requirement of 40 number and maybe in one day one and then 40 number next day, then 70 numbers next day. If it is exact lot size, what will happen? System will create a planned order for 40 for first proposal, 40 for second proposal, 70 for third proposal. If the lot size is 50, because you mentioned this lot size as 50, instead of requirement 40, the first time system proposes 50 lot size, right? And then the second time also, because though it is 40 requirement, system will propose 50. At the same time, when the MRP is running, system will consider, right, already for a requirement of 80, there is a proposal of 100. So it will keep always in mind. It doesn't going to be infinitely very high. So in the third period, when the requirement is 70, so planned order will be created for 50 only, because here requirement is total is 150, requirement also 150. So here the planned order is reduced, right? So this way is one way. This is the one way of seeing it. At the same time, if the lot size is 45, what will happen? So requirement is 40, here the planned order is proposed 45, requirement is 40, again planned order is 45. Then for the requirement of 70, when the planned order is 45 created, your total requirement is 45 plus 45 plus 45, it's 135 only, but your total requirement is 150. So system create another 45. Okay, so when the fixed lot size is reduced, actually you are procuring more, right? So these behaviors we need to understand clearly. Both the business users and the consultants should understand that putting the lot size in a different ways, no, that they are all creating in different ways, that how they behave, that's what very important to understand. So here, so though our total requirement is 150 in this 3 period, total proposal is 90 plus 90, 180, though the fixed lot size is less than this 50. Okay, so it may be surprised, when the lot size is reduced, how the requirement is increasing. This is the logic. And when you have the periodic lot size, like you have a weekly lot size or monthly lot size, if all these things are day 1 of 1 week, day 2 of another week, day 3 of another week, in week beginning itself totally 150 numbers will come. If you take if it is a 2-3 weeks, if it is a monthly, means month beginning itself will have 150. So when you are increasing the lot size, periodic lot size, from daily to weekly to monthly, you are going to buy a bulk quantity of materials in the period beginning itself. So we have to be careful. That's why here we highlighted this one in the red color here, because this is going to increase your stock, and here also you are going to advance, you are going to procure in advance this much quantity. So it is also going to increase your stock. So be careful when you are defining the lot sizes, and also we have to keep on reviewing the lot size when it is used in the system. So backflush indicator, it enables goods issues simultaneously when you confirm the operations, so which automatic confirmations. That time consumption also will happen automatically. The backflush can happen in metal master, work center, or components and routing. And if it is not defined in any master, then we can update manually in production order also, but that is applicable to that production order only. Okay. So just to have an overview how the backflush is working. If the backflush is indicated in metal master, yes, it will backflush will happen automatically. If it is not in metal master, but if it is backflush defined in work center, backflush will happen. If not, no. Then if the backflush is defined in routing, that time yes, backflush will happen, otherwise no. Then backflush in production order also. So various places we can keep it depending on the situation. For example, the same material, maybe you want to have a backflush automatically for one product or one work center, but you don't want it to happen automatically in another work center or another production order. That time you want to decide it manually to issue the material. So you can select it based on the thing. It's not that commonly you have to fix a backflush for one material. Always it has to happen. So based on the BOM, based on work center, BOM routing, we can define these different options, right? So demand management aligns sales planning with customer requirements according to the planning strategy, because planning strategy is defined how the demand has to be handled. So planning strategies are defined based on operating models like make to stock, make to order, assemble to order, and engineer to order. Some common strategies which are used in SAP are listed down here. Before going into details of individual planning strategies, let us see the operating models. So make to stock. In make to stock, finished goods are produced and kept in stock. So here lead time is less. It can be delivered immediately. In case of make to order, until we get the order from customer, nothing will happen. Probably components may be available in stock to reduce the long lead time. Otherwise, other activities will not be carried out in make to order situation. In assemble to order situation, we keep the components and subassemblies or modular products ready. So the components and subassemblies are kept based on the forecast or the or the expected stock level, and they will be assembled only after getting the order from customer. So that is the assemble to order, which means we keep component subassemblies ready in stock, but we convert them into finished product only on getting order from customer. What is availability check? Availability check is a process of checking availability of materials or capacity or production resource tools. It is used to ensure availability of materials, machine and supporting accessories so that we execute sales orders, production orders and outbound delivery efficiently and effectively. In general, master scheduling and material requirement planning, they take input from forecast. We know forecast is done based on the future, right, which is uncertain and it also keeps changing. So the proposals coming from MPS, MRP keep changing. The quantities and dates of already existing proposals also will change. In addition to this, we'll get a lot of new proposals. These things create big surprises through shortages while executing the orders, and also it may lead to a lot of excess inventory if the planned materials are not utilized properly. All these things make it mandatory to perform availability check to serve the customers on time, at the same time to protect the financial balance of the organization. For availability check to be effective, it should be performed in all sequential stages of the order management. So there are three types of availability check. One is the material availability, and capacity availability, and PRT check. It can be done manually with the specific transactions or automatically with required configuration which is can be established in the system. Material availability check is the most important availability check for the planners. Material availability check is done in different stages of the order management process, starting with sales order, where it can be checked against the plan or available to promise. And then in planned order stage, material and capacity availability check can be done. During production order, material, capacity availability, production resource tools can be checked. Similarly, during production order release. During delivery creation, you can check the material availability check. For each stage, different elements can be included as a criteria for availability check based on the need and the criticality of the business process. So what are the benefits of this availability check, material availability check? It resolves shortages issues with more visibility of the information. Also, releasing production order without shortages will help a good management of the materials in shop floor. A productive scheduling with assurance of material availability. Clarity in shop floor with clear orders. Reduced follow-up efforts and resources can be used for other productive activities. Proper allocation of materials to the orders. Now, what are the elements of a material availability check? So we will see what are the supplies which are expected, mean the expected receipts, that is the inward movements. Then we have available stocks, and there will be requirements which are the outward movements. All these things will be there with the replenishment lead time. That is the total lead time. What is that? So these are the major parameters. This is overview how the availability check is done. There is incoming, there is outgoing, what is available stock, what is the period. These are the four basic things, right? So we discussed the overview of all the four views of MRP in this session. So we discussed in detail like MRP type, reorder point, lot sizing procedure, backflush, planning strategy, availability check, all the concepts. So what are the field, where it is maintained, what are the default values, those things we'll discuss in the subsequent sessions. So now let us see the quiz for this session. So what are the two major MRP procedures? How many views are there for MRP? What is the significance of MRP1 view? What is the significance of MRP2 view? When variation in consumption is more, should we keep lower reorder point or higher reorder point? Which functions, that is departments, need higher lot size and which functions departments need lower lot size? What are the three major operating models discussed in this session? What is availability check? Availability check is done only during sales order creation. True or false? So these are the questions for this session. We'll see the answers in the next session. In the next session, we will start to discuss in detail each parameter in every MRP view, starting with MRP1 view. Hope you completed creating purchase view for the materials in the business case, what you prepared. That is very important. Please do the practice. And please give your feedback to improve the flow and contents of our course. Please recommend to your friends and colleagues to subscribe to the channel so that they can also gain the benefit. Thank you. See you in the next session. Take care. Bye.